All right, all right. Welcome everyone to season 2, episode 1 of Nerd Alert. Thanks again for joining us. As always, you're here with Serge.
And Chico in the house.
What up? What up? And we
What up,
start
my
by
man?
saying this is our first episode of season 2, so we're excited to be back. And we took a little hiatus for the holidays.
Happy
We just
freaking
spent
New
some
Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year, Merry Christmas if you celebrated, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, anything under the sun,
All
whatever you
that
celebrate,
jazz.
all good. It was a good time being with the family, having some time off. But if you're nerds like us and pay attention to what's going on, there's been a ton of stuff coming out that
And we
came
know you
out.
missed us, guys. We know you
Yeah.
missed us. So we're coming back for you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Don't forget to follow us, Nerd Alert N3RD underscore A13RT on the gram. Our Gmail's N3RD underscore A13RT at gmail.com. And
And
this is
as
also
of
going to be our first
today,
episode on YouTube.
YouTube.
My bad.
And it's the same thing. Look us up. It's the N3RD underscore A13RT. Rejoice. You can now see us, people. You're welcome once again.
Spaces. It
It's
might,
all
we
the
might, might be a
screens.
little,
It's
a little
epicness.
awkward. Yeah, a little
Man
awkward.
bun and everything. Boom, right at you guys.
We're studios to come. Right now is a little background, just keeping it still
So work in
homegrown.
progress, guys. This
Work in
is first
progress.
video, but it's just gonna get better from here. But we have an exciting episode for you. Again, it's been a couple of weeks. A lot has happened, but today's more going to be on the Marvel side. If you couldn't tell, the main topic is going to be Spooderman, aka Spider-Man.
Marvel.
Yes, sir. So we'll talk about that. We're then going to jump into some Hawkeye. Great 6 episodes on Disney Plus. And then we actually haven't discussed Eternals since our last showing, so kind of going to go circle back around that, give you our 2 cents, and share a couple of honorable mentions after that. But all in all, I mean, we've got an exciting episode for you people.
Heck yeah, man! Spider-Man: No Way Home. But I just want to remind
Let's
everyone before we kick off:
spoilers, spoilers, and
spoilers.
spoilers.
Everyone, looking at you,
Yeah,
spoilers. All
you have
right.
been warned. If you didn't
Yes.
understand, spoilers. If you need it in español, es spoilers. There you go.
Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh my
Oh
god,
my
bro.
god.
Everything that you could possibly want in a Spider-Man movie, they made the impossible happen, dude. So we just actually went through our second showing on Sunday,
Nice.
and it was still as impactful second time around as it was the first one. I mean, I know you're a bigger Spider-Man fan than I am, but overall for just a movie, it was. I think we've discussed this many times. Into the Spider-Verse was definitely our favorite Spider-Man movie
Sure.
of all
Yes.
time, and this one beat it. I'm not gonna lie, for me, this one
Really?
yeah,
So
dude, it's
okay.
or
I have
maybe
a
you know
little
what,
bit.
yeah, it's they're right there, but I feel like what they were able to capture in this movie it definitely takes the cake.
So here's my thing with this movie is that my initial knee-jerk reaction, like coming out of the movie theaters, I was like, that was the best movie going experience ever. Like I was so hyped coming out of the theater. Like
Yeah,
Christina and I, my wife, we were just elated, just like had a blast. And I'm like 10 out of 10, best movie ever, just best Marvel movie. Like it was all going through my head. Like that, they nailed it. They did like all the fan service I could ever possibly want. Like,
yeah.
and then on the drive home, we're talking about the movie and the come down starts to happen. And I'm just
You start
like,
to fizzle
wait a
out.
minute. I'm not sure if once you get over all the like nostalgia factor of what they were able to bring to the movie and
Yeah,
having Andrew Garfield, having Tobey Maguire, having William Dafoe put on a fucking clinic in that movie, like acting
yeah,
clinic wise, he nailed it. And making his character, which I never hated his character, but they just made it way more interesting in this, made him way more interesting in this one.
yeah.
And but still, like with all that like excitement of having the nostalgia factor and the fan service, I'm like, plot wise, I don't know if the movie was that great. I'm still reserving my final judgment for another viewing because so like I first was like 10 out of 10. Now I have it as an 8 out of 10 just because I'm like, once I started to think about it, I really kind of disliked Alfred Molina, but I didn't dislike him. I dislike Doc Ock being brought back because he was so perfect in Spider-Man 2. His whole character arc, his the way they redeem him at the end, just everything. And then to have him here, they sort of just waste him. Like it was a pretty cool action sequence on the bridge, but I feel like the action sequences in part 2 were way better, and they didn't give him a cool story arc. Like they just kind of save him. He helps him at the end, and like that's it. So I felt like he was completely wasted.
Yeah,
And
dude.
so
And then his lines were on. Okay, so I agree with you. I'm kind of jumping the gun. I say live action Spider-Man probably the number one for me now. Um, Immediate regrets already.
damn it, I converted you.
Yeah, now we're talking about it. Like I just think about how great Into the Spider-Verse is too, and just plot wise, it's just damn near perfect. It's damn near perfect. But I do agree with you. They watered down the living shit out of Doc Ock in this one. His lines were just super campy and cheesy. And I mean, I've read in interviews he did it solely for the money. That's cool. That's your thing. But after even just reading that, I'm like, okay, you can clearly see how that comes out versus a William Dafoe, who in plenty of interviews after the fact has said he wanted to give this his all. He wanted to give some new life to the Green Goblin. He wanted it to leave an impact. And he did, man. He fucking he brought every emotion, every little nuance he could out of that character. Like you felt sympathy for him. You felt grief.
His villain into a grounded human dealing with mental issues. That's what he did. Like literally, that's what they did with his story, and they nailed it. It was great. But the other stuff, I haven't got my second viewing yet, so I'm reserving my final judgment. So it sits at an 8 for me. Best, I would say best live action Spider-Man movie for sure. It's so good, even though I love part 2, but it's just so much fun. It's so much fun. They still haven't nailed the swinging too. They did better in this one. They did better in this one.
The best swinging to this day, and I've said it prior to this, is Amazing Spider-Man
2, the beginning, the first like 5 minutes of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he's swinging through the city, is the iconic Spider-Man that swinging that you want to see, is like from the video games and stuff.
Yeah,
but in this one, they tried a few times. At the end, when they finally reveal his like homemade suit, when he's like they reset.
Well, even at the beginning, when he's going through the streets with MJ, like they try to touch on it a little bit there.
They made it more funny though, because she was so scared. It wasn't like fun to watch him swing.
Yeah.
Like you have fun watching Andrew Garfield swing in Spider-Man 2. You even have fun watching Tobey Maguire swing in those original Spider-Man. Like just the way they have him going through cars and through bridges, and just like it was just so dope. All this stuff. Just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, I didn't even touch anything. That's weird. I guess maybe it responded to my finger. Try that. See if it does it for you.
Sorry, guys, we're learning YouTube.
Anyways, I haven't even touched the keyboard. But okay, so back to the debate that we've been having for months, if not since I've known you.
This is going to become the whole show now.
Andrew Garfield, come on, man. This dude redeemed the living shit. To me, going back and watching the movies prior, again, stories aren't perfect, but for me, he is the personification of Peter and Spider-Man. Like he's just that whole shebang.
I never agreed with you with the Peter, but he is the Spider-Man. Like I don't. He's too like
even the Peter. Like you get
the
the banter that you expect to get out of Spider-Man. You know, Tom Holland has a couple of jokes, but it's not really banter with his villains. He's not quipping with them.
Yeah. No, but I don't disagree with you there. He is the best Spider-Man in costume, but like just the Peter Parker and the movies themselves don't back it. That's the problem.
I think the Peter Parker was perfect for that time because it was still. You know, you're thinking about the Twilight area where teenagers are supposed to be kind of like emo-ish. I think that's really. I mean, they were aiming for that time.
You just compared your favorite Spider-Man to fucking Twilight. Like that's a horrible.
I know, hardcore. But he was still a better Peter to me any day than Toby. I cannot get behind Toby's performances, dude. As Peter or Spider-Man.
They were fun. I still love those movies now. I could totally.
I get where the nostalgia kicks in for most people. Where you know, if you grew up with, what is it like? Adults grew up with Toby, millennials grew up with Andrew, and then your new kids got Tom Holland. But I don't know. You know, even capturing this, I feel like whatever you could say about the two Amazing Spider-Mans, dude, every scene with Andrew Garfield, he just owned it. He owned that whole scenario where there was the jokes and the moment where he catches MJ and redeems himself for freaking Gwen. Yeah. Like I looked around and even myself, I mean, I just like, it got you. You can feel that pain.
I'm not disagreeing. 100% agree with it. That's what I'm saying. I came out of it at the end with that whole last fight action sequence and like everyone getting his redemption and except that I kind of didn't like that Toby's character getting stabbed didn't mean anything. Like it literally meant nothing. I've been stabbed before was his response. I'm like, all right, dude. Like there was no consequences for it, which I don't know what I would have wanted, but it wasn't that, you know.
Yeah,
But other than that, like I tell you, I came out of that movie completely elated, and it is the most fun I remember having at the movie theater since fucking Endgame. You know, and the
yeah,
same thing with Endgame. We walked out of Endgame, we love it. Until this day, I still love Endgame. But if I
yeah,
put too much thought into the plot and the time travel, my eyes start to cross, and I start to get a little frustrated.
yeah.
but yeah, so I'm still two or three more viewings, and I'll have my final review on it. But I loved it. I mean, Ghost. So I know I'm kind of talking a little bit of the plot that I was able to remember, but still worth every penny of going to see it in a movie theater. Like, don't wait until it comes out on VOD or you can
Oh
buy it at
no.
Best Buy. Go see it on the biggest screen you can possibly find. And
I think
like put your
and
phones
to that
away,
point,
everything. Huh?
the best part for me is that my initial viewing. I don't know about your theater, but my theater, it was the same reactions that we got out of Endgame. Like you had people screaming, you had
Yep.
people fucking applauding, you had people crying, like you
Yep.
had all of that, and it was cool to be in that kind of environment. And again, a couple weeks later, we go back and watch it the second time, same reaction out of the audience and even ourselves. Like it was able to pull that out of you. What I do feel the movie was able to do was again put a lot of emotion behind everybody. It fixed a lot of my original quips that I've had since day one with Tom Holland's um, iteration. My biggest problem with it is he's just had it way too easy. He
Yeah.
had Stark Tech, he had all this shit, and again, spoiler, he gets brought back down to ground zero. No one knows who the fuck he is. He's got to make his own shit. Like,
Yeah, it's actually like the ending of this movie is like devastating for him,
yeah,
right? For him
it's
personally, and well, because he loses Aunt May, and literally he gets his identity as Peter Parker gets wiped off the earth. No one knows who he is. Like, he bumps into Happy at the end. Happy doesn't know who he is. He's just they're visiting Aunt May. Spoiler alert: Aunt May dies in this one in the most another gut wrenching fucking scene, and
oh dude,
another and Marissa Tomei just delivering
oh
and
yeah, bro.
delivering and
I
delivering
really
like.
do. I like how they changed the origin as well and gave her Ben's arc. So Ben didn't exist in this world, which is cool. It makes the other two movies make a lot more sense to know that she was his Ben. She's been living this
Well,
single mom
just
life.
because my bad, I do want to touch on that just really quick. So he does exist because he in part one in Homecoming, he does say to Ned when Ned finds out he's Spider-Man, he's like, Ned says, does your aunt know? And he's like, no, well, everything that happened to my uncle, I don't want to stress her out even more. So there is an
Does he say uncle? I think it alludes to it.
no, he says to my uncle, yeah, everything that happens to my uncle, yeah,
Okay, I got to go back and watch it because I could have
yeah.
sworn he stops. He's like everything that happened last year or happened recently. I don't remember him saying uncle.
Ah, damn it! It's like one of those Mandela effects. I'm gonna watch it. He's not gonna say
Dude,
uncle.
I
It's like, I
promise you,
swear he said uncle.
like I don't remember them ever mentioning the uncle whatsoever. The only glimpse we ever got, and even that was into him, was the suitcase in the second part, but that's his dad's suitcase.
You talking about Amazing Spider-Man?
No, I'm still on the Tom Holland arc.
What suitcase
Uh,
does he? Oh, the suitcase
no,
he
when he
goes
goes
to
in,
London with.
yeah, and it's got the
Oh.
engravement. That's his
Okay, okay,
dad's
okay, okay,
initials.
okay, okay. Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
they never mentioned the uncle whatsoever. And
I
that
feel
was
like they did
again
in the first
always my
one.
quip. I'm like, what the fuck? When are we gonna get this shit? But I do kind of appreciate that they made that make sense in her. And again, it goes with her character too, because she's a very strong, independent woman through these movies. And yeah, dude, I dug that she was the one that delivered the line.
Dude,
Yeah,
that whole arc with
her
her
death
and
was
Happy, fucking her trying to leave Happy and Happy being
oh
like
dude,
that
that shit was
desperate, stuck
amazing.
on her boyfriend. Yo, that shit was. It's so guys. I have my issues with some of the plot, but it's so good. It's like so good. It's so fun to watch. Like I loved it. But yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like they did throw so again, not a perfect. The villain stuff was kind of back and forth. I feel like they rushed too quickly through like Electro. I do like they fixed him. The Lizard, they rushed through him. Yeah, he got some
yeah.
action sequence at the end. I wish that would have gotten fleshed out just a little bit more, give him a little more hands on with the villains before they united. But I just, dude, all the little Easter eggs throughout the whole movie, like the bridge scene at the beginning was completely mirrored to the Amazing Spider-Man catching the cars.
Yes.
Every time the villains, like their theme songs, like for me, once the Amazing Spider-Man started, like his theme started coming in on his scenes was
Yeah.
cool. When Electro pops up, I've always liked Electro's score from Amazing Spider-Man. Hans Zimmerman's little boom,
Yeah.
like that was really cool. Um,
I
and
hate
then
that fight
also
scene at the
like
end. Of
making
part Amazing Spider-Man 2. Huh?
the what?
I hate that fight scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2 at the end where like Josh, it's horrible.
Oh no,
Can't-
yeah, it's bad. But I'm saying I like the score to it. No, I agree. Um, and then what you call it? I like that they made sense of the black suit. I was hoping he just wasn't gonna get some random ass sorcerer suit, and the fact that he turned it inside out, I thought that was actually kind of funny.
That shit was cool. Yeah.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense for his lenses. I don't know how they're supposed to work backwards, but whatever.
Sorry, I need to sip.
But no, I mean, it was a really, I like, they built this rapport and acknowledged this rapport that he built with Doctor Strange from Infinity War to now, which was kind of sad at the very end too, to see like he had actual emotion between this bond with Peter,
Yeah,
and then has to wipe that out. Dude, I just think all the actors throughout the whole movie really owned their roles. Like they really brought it in. The disappointment for me, Alfred Molina. Again, if he's just looking for a check, you clearly saw that.
And that de-aging shit they're using for him, and that it was like rough. It was just too much, or whatever it was, a ton of makeup or the de-aging technology they're using. Man, it was just hard to look at. It was it was a little frustrating. I'll agree. I did like the redemption they gave. I felt like the Lizard was a little bit wasted. I felt like the Sandman, his was a little weird because he doesn't die in the other one. He escapes, so he's out there just living. Yeah, and he just brought. So when is his what? They didn't really explain when his return was. I hated that. The whole fight scene with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man in the mirror dimension was fun, right? I love those Doctor Strange movies. Those are a ton of fun too. So so that whole fight scene was super cool. And then when he comes out and he decides that he's gonna, Aunt May helps Peter come to the decision to redeem these guys or help them overcome their badness or whatever it is. Yeah. I hate that, he gives them a speech and then he takes them all out like on their word that they're going to be like, okay, and come with him. Like, again, maybe it's like, cause he's a child, but they have three geniuses, right? Ned, Mary, MJ, and him, they're geniuses for their school. And they all like, yeah, let's just take them to the apartment and they're going to fall in line. Like, it was just I know they have to keep the story moving, but I just feel like, dude, just take one at a time. Like, stop. I felt
like they were aiming at the innocence of youth on that, like just the naiveness of the young mind. Okay, cool. Yeah. He said he's gonna be cool. We're cool. We're gonna take it on that. Like that did bug me a little bit, but yeah, I agree on that 100%. And I just had something I was gonna point out too, and I just can't fucking remember.
So there's like I said, like that's when I started to come down a little bit from the best movie ever, like, but again, it's so much fun. It makes up for that so much that
I do feel like they just dangled the Sinister Six in front of us without giving us the sixth member. Like that really bugged the shit out of me. I was like, oh, come on, anybody could have been thrown in there. Like at some point I was like, okay, the Vulture's going to come out. Okay, Venom's going to come out, and I will get to that point too. I was like, all right, well, this will give them a reason to bring out Venom finally. That I felt was wasted. But like that whole little last action sequence, the way they were able to incorporate, again, each Spider's version's own little nuances from their movies down to their swings, to their poses, the way they were able to interact with each other.
All posing on top of the Statue of Liberty at the end.
Bro, swinging into there in their own definitive swings was also cool. That whole last part was really, really dope. But I enjoyed that we were able to get just that Peter babble essentially between all of them. That shit had me cracking up, especially when they're sitting there waiting for all the villains to show up. But
so let's start wrapping up on this one. So just final words on Spider-Man No Way Home. Go.
Yeah, dude. Again, enjoyable. Perfect. No, but it's feasibly what they were able to do with this movie, and has been suggested many times. They were able to give so much fan service to just all of us, man, and bring these characters together, taking the step out of an influence from clearly an animated movie and bringing that to life. It gave us a lot to look forward to. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to mention really, really, really quick. So I was gonna bring this up on news, but there's a reason that behind the scenes that the movie went the way it did. So this movie could have gone one of two ways. So part of the reason they made Peter forget and close all those ties, I don't know if you've done any research on this, but they were still in negotiations with Sony for the rights.
I assume that, yeah. I remember
so because they couldn't come to agreement, they left it that way in case Sony takes it over and they can just completely do their movie and not acknowledge any of the Marvel stuff. And then also, if they continue with the Marvel stuff, he can have a first arc. So it was kind of a
But
smart way to
also,
handle things.
it's super smart because
Yeah,
also they forgot the world doesn't know who Peter Parker is, but Spider-Man still helped the Avengers during
right.
the thing. So they can still pull in the unmasked Avenger that never refuses to take, like, so they definitely, and I didn't read that, but I knew it because I remember the negotiations prior to Far From Home, where like
Yeah.
they almost didn't strike a deal. So I assumed it had something to do with that, but yeah, they definitely left it out there.
But the good news is he signed on for another couple movies, so it's staying in the MCU.
Holland or,
Yeah, Tom
who's he?
Holland did.
Okay, okay.
But no, a great movie, great action, all the emotions that you could possibly, no matter what movie you're a fan of, whether it's this series, the Amazing series, the original three, like it tugs on every fucking heartstring. You've got some great art action sequence. I think all around, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Perfect? No. Great, entertaining, and definitely watching the theater.
100% on everything he just said. The only thing I will just, because we didn't get a chance to touch on it, but we got to wrap up on this topic, is I'm still gonna say fuck Venom, fuck Tom Hardy's version of Venom, fuck his post-credit scene. It was all stupid. They tried to bring in that same comedy that they brought in from the second Venom movie, which just doesn't work. I am happy though that they did leave the symbiote there. Like I'm like, okay, cool. Like at least they may like give MCU's take on the symbiote, and let's just leave Tom Holland. Or if they're gonna bring, not Tom Holland, excuse me. Ed, fuck's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Ed Hardy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I love Tom Hardy. I'm a huge Tom Hardy fan. If you ever watch Peaky Blinders, he's like amazing in it and every other movie he's in. But in this, the Venom series, awful. Like, stop it. But
yeah, that was trash. That was a waste of a
freaking... now. Press pause if you haven't seen this. I know we spoiled some stuff for you, but it doesn't matter. Go watch the movie right now.
And just on that note, you really don't have to stick around for the end credit scenes on this one. Leave it to be. Leave it at the actual credits, because anything after that, you don't need it. You really don't.
It's a Venom one, and then it's a trailer for fucking
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange 2, which looks dope, but I'm mad that he did that to me because I don't watch trailers. God damn it.
Yeah.
But all right, Hawkeye. Let's move on to Disney Plus 6-episode series starring Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld. How do you say your last name? Steinfeld. I know. I actually want to hear your thoughts on this, so go for it.
I loved it, dude. I feel like it's tied for me with WandaVision as the best on Disney Plus right now, and they both, for me, hit in different ways. WandaVision, because of the depth and storytelling and creativeness that they were able to pull on that show, holds it a number. Like that one just has so much emotional baggage and clever way of breaking down, again, mental health. And it's just such greatness on various levels. But if you're looking for a Marvel show, which has, the mixed amount of humor with action, storytelling, and heart, like this was it, man. This show from start to finish didn't let me down whatsoever. I thoroughly enjoyed all 6 episodes. Normally there's a episode or two in every series that we've watched, except for WandaVision. I'd say in WandaVision only because at the beginning you have to understand you're going to something different. So I feel like a lot of people thought those first episodes were blood disappointing and trying to grasp. But once you go through the series, it all makes sense. Other shows, there have been plenty of gaps where you're like, fuck, it's a filler episode. It's a waste of an episode. This one, every episode nailed it for me. Everyone. I love the performances. I love the action that we got. I love the fucking chemistry between Haley and Clint and freaking Jeremy Renner. I love the surprises that we got at the end. Like that was great. Also, so the Kingpin comes back.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Loved it. I loved his interpretation. I love that he's essentially coming. It's still canon with Daredevil. Again, shout out. Loved his freaking cameo in Spider-Man, dude.
Yep. We got Matt Murdock and Spider-Man. Oh my god, I screamed at that part. I was like, "Oh my god!" No, I didn't see him. Shit. Yeah, I was so happy. My bad guy,
dude. So sitting next to Carly and having her here to experience Spider-Man and these shows has been great because she's my little spawn, like she's of nerdiness, so she picks up on this. So, anyways, so the Kingpin shows up, and I'd already heard rumors he was appearing, but actually seeing him on the screen and getting the great performance about him, and then just seeing a little bit more of grittiness, I feel like more of that underground grit that we didn't get in Daredevil because he was already established. I loved it, man. For me, it was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So wait, just real quick, because you said it was the Disney Plus shows is Loki, Hawkeye, WandaVision, and Falcon, Soldier, right? Is it just those 4?
And What If?
Oh, and what if? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess yeah, this one's definitely number one for me. It was, and also like, it's always I like that the stakes weren't, high world ending stakes, right? Like it's the dude just wants to get home for Christmas, right? Clint
Yeah.
just wants to get home for Christmas. Like he's just had the shit, like not a shit. Well, yeah, he's had the shittiest 7 years, right? 5 years without his family and him turning into the Ronin, and then the shit with Thanos happens when they go back in time and all that stuff. He gets his family back, but them trying to rebuild and him trying to get over again, deal with the repercussions of him murdering people for five
Yeah.
years while
And that's awesome in itself to show that there are repercussions to the actions.
yeah.
Like the fact that they didn't just dismiss that this fool went completely AWOL and on murder frenzy. I love the fact that they were like, hey, you did some fucked up shit. Shit's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
And there was this one scene, I think it was the second to last, or maybe the last episode. Well, I know you're gonna know what I'm talking about but it instantly made me love Hawkeye so much more. And again, that was the hunt. Like, I mean, as a superhero, not even like the show, just him as a superhero. When they're talking and she's like, I saw you that day. You were on top of the roof and you jumped off. And she's just like, you don't fly, you don't do anything, but you're up there and you're fighting with a stick and a string.
Yeah,
and you're fighting aliens. So yeah, you're a superhero. And I'm like, damn, he is right. Like it just, you just don't think about it. And I'm just like, what a fucking description for him. And it was like, and
that's the whole moral of the story is know your worth. He doesn't know his worth. Like he knows he's got a job, but he's never understood what his worth. And again, all these shows have all had their underlying themes, and that was what this one was. His fucking worth. And I love that she brought value or made him realize his value to all this stuff.
And not just the way he accepts that information again, like he's on the top of the line acting here. Like you see like his eyes kind of, it takes him aback almost a little bit. He's just like, it's like, damn, like I didn't like to him. He's like, I didn't think about it that way. And it's like, true. Like, dude, you're fucking awesome. Like you're a badass, man. But then also it's about sacrifice, right? Because he just wants to get home for Christmas, but he can't because there's a higher calling that he has to answer, right? Like the shit that's going on. So yeah, man, all in all, dope. This is I would also rank. Because I was one of those people who had issues with WandaVision in terms of like it was just it was 10 episodes and like a half of them I'm like, oh, it's too much. I don't know. I wasn't completely on board for it, but I did like it. But I would put Falcon and Winter Soldier above WandaVision and then Hawkeye on top. And then probably What If. Damn, I liked What If too, but I don't know, rankings for another episode because that could be I could be swayed with those. Like they're all like so fucking. And Loki's definitely at the bottom for me though. Always Loki's top,
and you would think like Winter Soldier would be up there. That one's got his own issues we've discussed plenty of times. I just feel like WandaVision was such a smart fucking show and how to handle the topic. Like you just can't. I don't know you have to appreciate what they were able to do.
And is this based off that comic you were telling me to read? I forgot what it was called, but you were like, there was a run of comics you rave about. You've raved about it on this show. I just can't remember what it's called. There's a Hawkeye series. Yeah,
dude, the Hawkeye book is fucking great.
No. Series, but is this based on that or no?
Mostly, I'd say 90% of it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, nice. Down to your freaking tracksuit mafia.
Yeah,
everything but the Kingpin. The Kingpin's not on there. But most of the other shit is
so again, guys, spoilers. There's no way he's dead at the end, right? Because why introduce Matt Murdock in Spider-Man?
Dude,
just to kill Kingpin when they introduce him a week later not a week later, but like 3 weeks later on that show. Like, so there's no way.
Rumor is that her show Echo, who's getting her spinoff, Kingpin's going to be the villain, and they're bringing back Daredevil into that show as a sub character. But that's going to be his introduction into his formal Daredevil
gunshot goes off. So what she do? Try to make him deaf like she is or something? Like, what do you think?
I'm pretty sure he shot him in the body. I don't know. They'll find a way to make that sense of that. I will say the only things that really bugged me, they're very minimal, but the only thing that really bugged me on the show was the watch. In all honesty, I thought that was going to turn out to be Tony's watch from freaking Civil War. I thought it was tech that they. The whole basis of the majority of the show is they got to get this watch back.
Well, it was the suit, and then they come across the watch while she's looking for the suit, the Ronin suit.
No, it's the watch and the suit at the same time. Because initially, he wants the suit, and then he comes aware of the. I think I thought it was kind of like 1 and 1, but
I forgot.
I guess my main point is why, like, they never really officially said why they needed the watch. I get why Clint needed the watch and to get the watch back, for significant value. You know, it's his wife's watch. But why did the villains want it? That's the only thing that bugged me. They never
Well,
explained
no,
that.
that was Echo's apartment, wasn't it? Wasn't his fear that now he realizes that she knows more about him than he thought, right? Is or like that watch could lead back
Is
to
that the
her? Wasn't that
assumption?
the whole
Okay,
point?
that makes sense.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought that's why he was trying to get it. Like maybe they didn't put the pieces together yet, but since that was hers, like it could eventually leave to her, which is cool. And I love that they made her a character, an agent of Shield,
That
because
fucking
like
makes sense. I'm
it
an
makes
idiot.
she's like the most
Makes sense.
accepting
Yeah.
wife ever. Like and you know the fact that she was an agent too is like, oh, that's fucking dope. You know, so it's and like she
I
had all
like that
these
she was. I really
resources.
like that she was the man in the chair.
This
Like
guy, I was just about to say that. I swear to God,
I
I was
love
just
that
about
she
to
was the
say
man
that.
in the chair.
Loved it. And I
Yeah, and
love,
I love
and
her,
we
man.
can't
She's just
forget,
she's
we
she's
cannot
hot.
forget. Oh yeah, but Florence Pugh again puts
Oh
on
my god,
another.
dude.
I loved her in Hawkeye. Loved her even more in. No, I loved her in Hawkeye. I loved her in Black Widow. Loved her even more in this.
Yes.
How she was able to be badass, and then in the next scene where they show her inside the apartment being fucking charming, if anything.
Yep.
Like I'm like, yo, she's hilarious. She's beautiful, and she's just like and you can see it in Haley Steinfeld's like act. She's doing a very good acting job, but she's like, she's getting won over by this person who's a complete threat that just kicked their ass
Yeah.
up on the roof fucking a day ago or whenever the timeline was. And
The night before. It was a fucking night before.
the night
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
yeah, okay. And but she's still being won over by this person. Like it's just
I love the smugness. I
fantastic.
love that. Like she's just like, you were gonna kill me. No.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like yeah. They again, the chemistry that they were able to exhibit between again Haley and Clint, Haley and Florence Pugh. The rumors, or I don't know if it's necessarily rumors or fan love or push, but supposedly they're working on a Hawkeye Black Widow movie now with those two,
Nice.
which would be fucking great.
Nice.
I think that would be, their scenes were just great together.
Do you think she abandons the accent like Wanda does eventually, like that she
I
did
hope not.
eventually?
I
I
don't think
know,
she
me
will.
too. But the accent, she's doing a great job. But it's like that's gonna be
Great, but I do think a couple of times it was, if
it
you
slips.
could tell it was forced.
Yeah,
It came off
slips
a little, but no, I love that. Fucking Lucky the Pizza Dog was great. The background characters,
my
all the
God.
cops and the freaking LARPers, like all of that. I just think, again, what they were able to capture, and then the overall feel of the movie or show, having it be a Christmas feel, like you still got very big holiday vibes off of it. So I think all in all the pieces that they put together were they just worked. It was awesome.
Yeah, beginning to end. I mean, and there's even like, again, it's a small story. It's not a world-ending event, right? He's just trying to get his suit back and the watch because like the Ronin suit somehow goes into the black market and people are bidding on it. And so he just wants to get it back. She gets into the fold because her mom is like the head of some security agency.
Yeah.
And it was just a small story, like just get the suit back and then deal with these underground people. But still you do get the Marvel stuff, like when he's got all his trick arrows, right, quote unquote. And he's got the fucking pin particle one, which was super dope. When they're on the bridge,
cool.
I didn't see that shit coming. I'm like, what are they gonna do? He's like, just shoot the arrow in the air, just shoot the arrow, like just time it, do a drop arrow for me, or whatever he says. And he fucking shoots that shit, and it's a big ass arrow that comes out and takes out all the cars. It's like, this shit's great. Yeah, man, it was a ton of fun. I was a little questionable in the first action sequence for Haley when she's she infiltrated the party and she's got like the tray and she's pretending to be a waitress and she's there and like she's fighting, and I guess she's supposed to be inexperienced. So, but the fight sequence to me, I was like, oh no, like she's so inexperienced, but it's like too much of it. Like it's kind of like she's too clunky. But then I felt like as the series went on, like they made it way better. They made it just smoother.
But it makes sense as a for the character, even though she's got the background in martial arts and all that.
Yeah,
like,
she's not a fighter.
She's not a perfect superhero yet.
Yeah,
she's still learning.
Yeah.
But I've been discussing this since like the very beginning. Another clear point that they're building up this Young Avengers group is now Hawkeye's essentially handed over the mantle to Hawkeye. And I'm waiting for that notification and that news that Young Avengers coming 2023 or some shit like that. Like it makes perfect sense at this point. Like have an OG like Avengers squad with all some of the older. We don't really have anybody that's on the older group anymore. I feel like the Young Avengers is going to be the way to go. They've got all
that's
the
how
lineup
that's
for
how
it.
I'm trying to say. So now we're wrapping this topic up here.
Yeah.
Again, watch it if you haven't seen it. It's on Disney Plus. It's 6 episodes, super easy watch. I would say watch it before. If you haven't, if this is going to be your first foray into the Disney Plus Marvel shows, I would say it's a great one to start with. It's more adult theme. Well, not more adult theme. They're all pretty adult theme, but still,
I feel like
it's
this is more family themed. This one has a definitely big family vibe to it.
well, because he's trying to get home for Christmas and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's just cool to see that part of Clint. But anyway, go see it. It is the number one Marvel show in my opinion. Um, and I do, and like you just pointed out, it's hard to remember that this is, they're calling it Phase 4, but like especially with the movies, we're about to touch on Eternals here in a minute, but it's a reset of the universe. Like you said, none of the old characters, the main, Captain
Yeah, they're all
America,
gone.
maybe
They're all
Thor, I guess is gonna maybe make another appearance, but like it's all new people. So I got to kind of wrap my head around, and I think that's also why Spider-Man: No Way Home was so good, because it was so comforting. Like he's part of the original Avengers, and it was so much fun. While because like Eternals and Shang-Chi was a lot of fun, but wasn't like mind-blowingly good. Like Eternals, which we're about to touch on, was not very good, but
yeah.
So I have to wrap my head around like they're resetting the universe, like it's just like, they're not undoing everything that's ever been done, but they're just telling new stories, and guys they're getting rid of the old guard, so I'm cautiously optimistic, especially after seeing this, because she nails it and Florence Pugh is nailing it. And so if they're going to do a Black Widow, turn her into Black Widow, awesome. I'm completely on board for it. But then also reintroducing, if they're going to bring Kingpin back and Matt Murdock as Daredevil, what the heck's the actor's name? Doesn't matter. But if they're going to bring Charlie Cox, because if they're going to bring all them back into the Disney Plus fold, I'm on board for it. Go see it now. Any last thoughts, Chico?
Yeah, you just don't necessarily need to stick around for the end credits on episode 6 either. That was that
one. I don't even know if I stayed for it. What was it?
No, it was the whole play out, the Rogers musical.
Oh my god, yo, I will 100% go see the Rogers musical.
I would too, but
yeah,
yes,
thank you for admitting it.
It made me shake my head. I'm like, oh my god, is something gonna happen? I really was hoping like Nick Fury was gonna be in the audience and just like shake his head or something.
Yeah,
I really would have loved that, to sit through that and to see someone in the audience and their reaction.
I'm sad that they didn't bring back Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character.
Sequence.
I thought they were going to bring back Val, but they didn't.
Oh
right?
yeah, that too.
Yeah,
I was just anything but a full-on musical would have been. I just hate musicals in general, but I would still go watch that one just to say I've seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as in credits go, it was.
That's right. I did see that. Yeah.
Meh.
But anyway, check it out. Disney Plus.
For real, yeah, now. Watch it.
All right, last
and on
thing
to Eternals.
We saw was Eternals.
So this has been out for quite some time. If you haven't seen it now,
yeah.
it's a different movie. So it's not terrible, but it's definitely a different kind of movie. It's a very artistic, Oscar-ish movie with a Marvel wrapping on it. I feel like, and you're introducing a whole new set of characters that in the comics have been around forever. It's a quote, an eternal race that's been monitoring civilizations forever. They're not supposed to essentially interfere with the progress of the civilizations they're observing, but with Earth, they choose to thousands of years ago. And at some point they break off, everybody's doing their own thing, and then they're brought back together due to a death. But yeah, it's an okay movie, but it just misses the ball with so many things. I feel
they just didn't have time. It's like a 2 hour and 20-minute movie, but there's fucking like 9 characters, and it's so no one gets their fair share. Like, sure, the main, I don't even remember their names, so I'm not even gonna try. But Cersei is one I did remember, actually, the main.
Main Cersei. Icarus is the Superman archetype.
Yeah. So their introduction was dope when they go on to when they first show them on the planet. They have that first action sequence. I had a lot of hope when they're fighting those fucking demon things that are coming out of the water.
Yeah.
The reason why they're on Earth to begin with, to eradicate those things so that Earth can go ahead and thrive. I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of fun. Like, the action scene was really cool. Like, Icarus comes out, all right, fine, he's Superman, but sure, whatever. But and they all had like really cool superpowers, except I couldn't stop laughing at Kumail Nanjiani's character, whatever his name is. Like finger guns the whole movie. Like, I couldn't get it out of my head that like you're on set right now every day, and how do you not laugh? Like, you're just pointing your fingers. Like, it's so stupid. And it was funny to me that the whole leading up to these movies when a lot of the interviews was, oh, you got so jacked, like he got in great shape. He looks phenomenal, but they don't really
just
show
to
it
shoot
off.
some
Like
imaginary pistols. Pew, pew, pew,
just
pew, pew,
like
pew.
it's like they make like the heavy set guy, like the strongest guy in the world. He's got like the fists or whatever, the one that goes with Angelina Jolie. I don't know. I loved her story arc. I'm like, holy shit, like a superhero with, like dementia almost, or whatever they were trying to
Yeah,
project. I mean, I know they did that in Logan, and they did that much better with Professor X, obviously,
yeah.
but it was still a cool take on it. And she was badass, and her action sequences were cool, and Angelina
I
delivers.
feel like they gave her that role too, just so you could have Angelina Jolie's name behind the movie,
Oh,
but not
yeah.
really have her in the movie because
She's not doing much. Yep.
she's not doing much. Her
Not
scenes are
doing much.
okay, but she's not doing much. She's just in there for those parts. Same thing with Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek's got some great parts in there, but they're very few and far between. I feel like my biggest quips with this is it in the first time in a long time they've given us just a throwaway villain. Like the villain in here, I get the purpose behind it, but they could have done that more effectively with a more pronounced villain or just yeah. I feel like it was just a waste.
He wasn't even the
it was a
villain.
throwaway.
That thing wasn't even the real villain of the movie.
Right.
It was
It's
Icarus the
again
whole
to
time.
my point. It was just a throwaway portion, and then Icarus's turn, into a villain or the man behind the Kaiser Soze. Like I thought that was kind of dumb too.
It was. You see it coming a mile away. Like Christina
Yeah,
leans over to me in the movie and she goes, "He's the bad one, right?"
yeah,
And I'm like, "I think so." Like it
yeah.
was just, yeah, man. It's again, there was too many characters, not enough time spent on any one of them for me to care about any of them really. And and they're like, oh, like so I heard you started with saying they're not supposed to interfere, but they were sent there to eradicate those things, and then from then on they're not allowed to interfere. That's why they didn't
Right.
come when Thanos came or anything like that. But then like you have that one guy who's developing all this tech for humans. Like, isn't that interfering? Like that makes that shit made no sense to me. He's like, oh, at first he wants to build them like a plow, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. So he makes like the simple like handheld plow. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, you're still interfering. Like I don't get that
You're still
logic.
influencing and shit.
Yeah.
And
Then
my biggest quip is knowing the background. Again, this is the race that Thanos comes from, and for them not to touch on that, especially once Thanos gets there, and again, and I don't know, it still felt kind of dumb.
but
The fact
is
that they
he
would
though?
not
But hold on, I'm sorry, real quick. In the comic, not in this, they didn't say that in this.
no,
right?
not in this. In the
oh,
comics,
okay.
yeah, in the
Got it,
comics
okay.
they do. So if you stick around at the after credits, Harry Styles comes out as
Yeah.
Thanos' brother, who again is he's a part of the Eternals race. They reveal at the very end that they've bred these group of Eternals, and there's a bunch of clones out there on different planets and different worlds. And it reminded me of that Justice League episode when they have all their ultimate characters. You remember that one?
No.
Where, well, anyways, but yeah, that part, I was really hoping they were going to go back and touch on that so they could kind of circle and give it a little bit more depth and say, Thanos was blah, blah, blah. But they just completely dismiss it. Even when they actually talk about him, like, how can you be around this long? Like that really is part of your heritage. And even when Star Fox comes back at the end, again, they don't know that there's these different versions of themselves out there. I don't know. There was a lot of misses. It was very lackluster. It was a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Filmed great. Cinematography was great, but it was just nah.
Yeah, it's super like religious overtones, like
Yeah.
hardcore. I was just like, what's your belief? And I thought they missed an opportunity too to tie it into Shang-Chi in a way, because they even mention it where I kind of thought that that's where they were going. So at the culmination of the movie, they're trying to stop the Celestial from being born out of Earth and destroying the Earth, right? And so they decide to do, I forgot, they call it a super unimind or some shit. Like they were trying to develop those things. So, and while he's like doing his whole hand thing and trying to show him like what he's building and everything, he's like, oh, I'm making these rings. And I go, holy shit, tell me that these are the rings that get created that allow fucking Shang-Chi. And I'm like, dope. Like,
Same
sure,
page.
tie it into the movie. Like, why not? Like, and then they just don't. They completely abandon it. And I'm like, what? Like, you wrote this, right? Like, you know that you had this other movie just come out. Like, why not tie it into that somehow? Like it was just so, I felt like a missed opportunity. I just felt like it would have been cool, but again, overall the story was good.
Weak. Yeah, overall the story was weak. The only highlight for me, which was very minimal, was the second post scene with what's his name? Freaking Jon Snow.
Jon Snow.
So he's the Black Knight from the
Mm,
comics, and he's finally got this ebony sword, and he's talking to him. But the voice at the very
yeah,
end, knowing that that's I can't say his real name, but the guy that's going to play Blade,
yeah. Marcel
that's kind of
Ali.
cool. Yeah, I thought that was pretty. I mean, very small, but still kind of cool.
Yeah, it's so I felt I didn't know who it was, right? Because
Yeah.
Christina was like, she was like, "Is that Sam Jackson?" Doesn't sound like him. I'm like, "No, it's definitely not Sam Jackson," but I don't recognize the voice, so we had to look it up. We found out it was him, and it was a. But I'm like, it was such a strange Blade introduction. Like, does it fit? I don't know the comics that well. Does it fit
No,
into that world? No, right?
I'm essentially
Okay.
thinking he's going to teach him how to sword fight. That's where I
Mm.
think there's going to circle around to, or the Ebony Blade might have a history with vampires, or somehow that's going to bridge together. I really was hoping that throughout the movie, because even he tries to like break it to seriously that he's got this lineage, and they interrupt him, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
Yeah, he calls
I
him.
thought they were actually going to have him in action and introduce him in full Black Knight getup. That's what I was actually, I had already given up on the movie, honestly, halfway through. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it, but it was really the but whenever they started discussing that, I was like, okay, cool, this might be my payoff. And it never paid off. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
bummer.
I put this one on par with like Thor the Dark World. Like it's
Yeah, it's weak. It's
yeah,
super weak.
I would say watch a VOD, check it out if you're a completist, or skip it. Like, don't let this be your introduction. Like, I told that to my brothers who like aren't. Excuse me, I stuttered. My one brother is, but my other brother, he like, I'm just like, dude, don't even watch it. Don't take the kids. Like, no, don't worry about it. Wait for it to come out and check it out. But like, don't let this be your like introduction to this shit. Like, no, like he's seen like he likes like Black Panther. He loved Black Panther, and like that's one of
Yeah.
like the only Marvel movies he's really ever seen. And I'm like, that's a cool introduction. Like, keep that. That's a great one to like have. And I was like, I'll let you know when the next one you should go see is. But yeah, man, I can say totally skip it in the theater. The cinematography is fantastic. She just won an Oscar for that shit, last year. So it is phenomenal. But other than that, I mean, there's not really much going on with this movie.
There really isn't.
Yeah,
It's definitely a filler movie.
that was my final
It's
thought on
definitely
that
a setup for something or rather. The only thing I can foresee the way the movie ends is maybe it'll bridge with the Fantastic Four because it starts going otherworldly, and
and
I don't know.
and the other thing, Camille's character is like, they just let him go at the end. Like, I know he does so because he doesn't agree, but he doesn't disagree with them, or he can't. He's a middler, right? He's a flip flopper. He can't. So he's just like, I'm not going to partake in the third act of the movie, and just walks away. It's like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, why even introduce us to this guy? Like, we just too many characters already. And I'm not saying like give him another role or give him more to do. I love him as an actor. I think he's funny. I've been following this guy for forever,
Yeah,
but just like, it's a complete waste, man. I was just like, oh, God, just fucking cut him out of the movie completely or give him more to do. It was just stupid.
agreed. So yeah,
Yeah.
watch it on VOD. Watch it once it's on Disney Plus. Actually, it premieres in 7 days on Disney Plus. So
Oh, there you go.
if you got nothing to watch, cool.
But if you got nothing to watch and you haven't seen Hawkeye or any of the other Disney Plus shows, go ahead and watch that. But those, I mean, because
maybe even one of those that just have running in the back. Like it's one of
Yeah.
those movies.
yeah, seriously, it really is. I think it's the first Marvel movie because actually like Thor: Dark World like is not my favorite, but I don't hate it. This one I like remember coming out like disliking it. It was like the first
Yeah.
one that came out like I don't like this movie. But yeah, all right, that's enough on that one. Let's it's been a long 2 weeks, everyone. So we just want a quick not 2 weeks. How long has it been? Like a month since we last recorded. So there's been a ton of shit that's come out. I just want to give a couple of special mentions because there's things we were supposed to cover on the podcast that we just, again, there's too much stuff. So we're just gonna really quickly. If you haven't seen them and you're looking for something to watch, something with the family, especially 2-Bit Christmas on HBO Max.
Oh my God. Fucking loved it, dude.
Great. We've watched it like 3 times.
Movie.
It's so good.
It's so good, dude.
It's a throwback to the 80s. If you
Yes.
grew up, dude, it's so funny.
It gives you again all the holiday vibes, all the retro 80s vibes. Great cast.
And kind of
humor.
even trying to make excuses for like, not make excuses, but like even at the time, because like, it's the dad telling the story to his daughter about the 80s. We were trying to get a Nintendo, and and he's telling the story. He's like, oh, he called that kid gay, or he says the F word, or whatever. And he's just like, you got to understand the 80s was different. Like, it was just funny because you just remember that shit. Yeah, it was so good, man. And then it hits you like, I'm not gonna spoil anything because this again, we're really quick, but like at the end, there's just this huge emotional punch that you're just like, what?
Weren't expecting.
Yeah.
That catches you like out of nowhere. Yeah.
Great. Again, we're real fast. Great movie. Watch on HBO Max.
Agreed.
Netflix, The Harder They Fall, the
I didn't
Western
get
with
to watch
Idris
that one yet.
Elba. Dude, I was kind of like in the middle, like I was like kind of putting it off to watch it. We were supposed to cover it on the podcast like
Yeah.
weeks before we even went off for the break, and we just didn't watch it. But once I got around to watching it, it was just such a cool take on a Western. Super, this very fun to watch. Ton of action, like way more brutal than I thought it was gonna be. Because usually Westerns, you kind of think like pow, oh, and like they get shot and they fall, like kind of like cheesy and shit.
Did it
No,
take the
dude,
Tarantino route?
they take the Tarantino route a little bit,
Okay.
not
Over the top.
fucking spaghetti Western,
Yeah.
but it is like great, but like legitimately good. A lot of fun to watch. Everybody's on top of their game, acting wise, and the story moves. Not the best story. It's kind of you see things coming, but still, like it's a ton of action, a lot of fun to watch. Great acting. Check it out if you haven't seen it. And surprisingly, another HBO Max one, King Richard. Will Smith playing
Oh, I haven't
Serena
seen that
and
one yet. I'm not
Venus's
ready for it, dude.
dad. Great, great. That's all. I'll just leave it at that. Fantastic.
Tearjerker? Does it get you?
It's emotional, but it's just the stuff they overcome. His plan that he has for them is just really cool. If you've seen it, just it was a great and Will Smith is again he's doesn't get enough credit I think as an actor because he's killing it in that movie too. And yeah, check it out. But anything for you?
For me, Yellow Jackets on Amazon Prime. If you haven't checked
Is
it
it?
out, dude,
I keep hearing about
it's a
it.
great blend of Alive with Lord of the Flies meets Lost. So I was flipping channels and saw like we get the intro. You got the first episode for free on the Fire Stick, but you have to have a subscription to Showtime, or if you have a Fire Stick, just watch it on Fire Stick. So that's where I watched it. But yeah, that first episode had me hooked. It's such great drama, mystery, acting. Like it's a great fucking show. But the best way to summarize it is just that. So it's a group of girl soccer players. Their plane goes down in the middle of the mountains, and they have to survive from there. And just a bunch of fucked up shit happens from there. It's set in the 80s, and then it's playing along with modern times now. So you've got two timelines going on at the same throughout the episodes. Great show. I've watched most of them. I think I have two. They're already all aired. I've got two left because I've kind of just been holding off on them. Yeah. But good suggestion. Movie wise, I think I've gone through some things. I'm still avoiding Matrix Resurrections. I don't know how you feel about that one.
Well, I didn't make it my special mention, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there, enough said there. Don't Look Up. I don't know if you got around to watching that one.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was good. It was funny.
I love that movie, man. That
I didn't love it. But it was good.
Yeah, I loved it in the fact that it was right on the nose as far as where we're at in society. Like it's just a complete satire.
Yeah.
The acting's great, especially what you would expect out of Leo and freaking Jennifer Lawrence.
I love that it kills me that shit just kept the running joke through the movie. It's just like, why'd he charge us? Like it's so stupid, but it hits you every time and you don't see it coming, and it's so funny. It was I enjoyed it. It was maybe, you know what it was, it might have been a little too on the nose for like a lot of conversations we've been having now, especially like it's just like, because I can see both sides of whatever political spectrum you fall on going, you see, like yeah, this is, and like, but both sides feeling like they're 100% right because shit's getting out of hand. So that's the point of the movie, right? Shit's getting out of hand, obviously. Fucking look up. But it was good. I liked it.
I think we've watched some other things in between here and there, a lot of filler shows. But yeah, and I'm still watching Young Justice. Young Justice has been great. If you haven't caught up on that, dude,
damn it, no, I'm on 4 episodes in.
This series this season has been just deep, great, but like deep, very mature in all aspects. Like not sexual or anything like that, but just mature in themes. Like they're talking about some real shit. And it's been a great season.
It's almost like from the first 4 episodes that I did see, it kind of seemed like they were going like, I mean, it's like white Martians versus green Martians, I guess. So it's kind of like the whole, like, you know, political movements that are going on now. So it's very, it's very relevant to today's time. So from what I noticed, so I don't know. I've heard that it kind of switches gears though. Like some I think it was Gio was.
So there's different segments. There's different story points. And each one has its own little theme, but so far, like I've loved it. It's a different take. It's not what you expect off of like Saturday morning cartoons or what we've had in past seasons. Yeah, and again, prior seasons have been great, and this is great in its own way. It's
done right, different. So I could watch the next 6 episodes and I'll be done with it. Right? It's done.
Yeah, we're still at the halfway point. There's still half a season left.
but it's not coming out. Like it's not coming out weekly still, right? Is it on a
Yeah,
break?
still weekly.
Oh, it
It's
is.
every Thursday. Yeah, it's every
Oh,
Thursday.
okay, cool, cool,
There
cool.
was supposed to be a hiatus, but
I thought
so
so.
far
That's what I. Oh, okay.
there's still been new episodes every week.
Nice. And I was gonna say avoid at all costs. I already touched on it before, but Venom Let There Be Blood was atrocious. Like I thought I didn't like the first one. The first one's watchable. This one I got through about half of it, and then Venom's at a club, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I shut the movie off. Like I couldn't even. And then even like I love Woody Harrelson. I usually, generally
Yeah.
speaking, he's good in what good or great in whatever he's in. And this shit, it was just like, what are you doing, man? Like, what's happening here? It was just awful. I couldn't sit through the movie.
Another friendly suggestion. Ron's Gone Wrong on
Oh
HBO Max.
yes,
Dude,
yes,
such a great movie.
yeah, yeah. Is it
Such a
HBO Max
cute-
or Disney?
No, HBO Max. It's on
Oh
HBO
yeah,
Max.
yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Sadie loves it. My daughter, she will watch that movie like 6 times already.
That one's a good one too.
So avoid Let There Be Blood and avoid for me this live action Cowboy Bebop. I couldn't get past the first. I watched the 1.5 episodes.
Oh, I didn't even get around to it because you guys were like, eh.
Nope. And I had such high hopes because I never saw the cartoon, but I think I texted you that I started watching it. I saw the first 2 or 3 episodes of the cartoon, and it was so good that I'm like, no, let me not spoil the live action. So I stopped watching it to give the live action a fair chance, right? Because I'm like, if I get too jaded like by loving something, I might not like the remake of it. And no, that shit was awful. Like I couldn't get it was just so bad. It didn't the action sequences, the cuts, the acting, like I thought John Chow was good until now, but yeah, it just wasn't good. And then a new Disney movie, Encanto, right? I did not like it. Like it was, man, like I couldn't sing the
so
songs.
different.
Like it was just like it was
charming.
It wasn't. It was like none of the songs were particularly catchy. Like it was just like it was like a genuine musical where they're singing about what's going on. Yeah. And it's just not like I was bored throughout it. And generally, I don't mind because I watch cartoons and Disney Plus with my daughter all the time. You know, she's 3, so generally that's what we're watching. But man, this one, like, and I'm so glad it's not like let's watch Encanto over and over and over again. Like I like Coco. I love Coco. I watch that show all day. Now Ron Gone's Wrong. She loves it, so we watched that a bunch of times. But yeah, I like every time she's like, Dad, can you watch Encanto? I'm like, how about this? Like, so she doesn't push it. Like, if she really liked this, she'll put on a pouty face and say Encanto, but no, she hasn't yet. So, yeah, I'm not. I wasn't digging it, man.
But, I did catch the first episode of Boba Fett, though.
Oh man, that would let's put a pin in that. Yeah, let's.
So we'll talk on that next time.
We're running out of time here, so that'll be so spoiler alert for next week. We're gonna go in on Boba Fett because I did too. Word. So yeah. I
mean, all in all, we've got some good things to catch up on. Like I said, we've said Spider-Man, watch in the theater as fast as you can. Hawkeye, watch that at home as fast as you can. Eternals, take your time on that shit and avoid everything that we told you to avoid.
Yeah. 2-minute rundown. Anything that you have to say about news? Anything that you want to go over?
No, just the only thing that caught my eye was announced like 2 days ago, and I'm not surprised. Morbius got pushed back yet again.
Yeah.
It got pushed back to March.
Every time I see a trailer, I'm just like, no.
Just show it. Just give it to us. Supposedly they're pushing it back so they can film a Andrew Garfield cameo. They're going to go do a reshoot with that. Supposedly. I don't think so. I mean, even if they do that, I still feel like it's going to be a terrible movie. They're just like, fuck, what did we do? What did we do? What did we do? Well, how can we make this work? How can we salvage ourselves? Oh, let's salvage ourselves
turn it into a fucking Spider-Man movie, maybe.
Until one scene with Andrew Garfield. Okay, cool. Done.
Excuse me.
No, and then spiking off of that, news or rumor is that they are trying to push for a third Amazing Spider-Man, because of all the positive feedback they got from the movie and Andrew Garfield's and his wish to finish off his series. So supposedly
I would love to see a darker Andrew Garfield, like jaded, and he said like I stopped pulling my punches. Let's not get it twisted. I loved his, and I do like the Amazing Spider-Man's. Like I like all the Spider-Man movies. I'm on board for them. I can watch them anytime they're on. He's just not, the movies themselves for me weren't my favorite. They're like the bottom, but he was a great Spider-Man. So I'm glad they were able to redeem him because he was fucking fantastic in Spider-Man No Way Home. So if they do a new Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, I'm 100% on board, but they better let the MCU in on it because they're the ones I think saving these movies. Because I don't know if Sony can do it on their own.
I don't think they're going to let. I think the Amazing Spider-Man property, they're going to want it. Just I think the greed's going to kick in, and since they own that one completely, I feel like they'll. But they shouldn't.
And
You know
then
what I
the
feel would be a
Spider-Man No
great
Way Home,
segue
huh?
is have that be the new Venom. Like if Andrew Garfield becomes corrupted in Amazing Spider-Man 3 and
Oh
that
yeah,
darkness overtakes him and he becomes the new Venom, I'd be on board for that shit. I would love it.
yeah. As long as they do it right.
Yeah, as long as
Oh
we
man.
fucking do it right. But no, that's all I got. Nothing
All
really
right,
I
cool.
paid attention to on the news. We'll get back on board on those things. The holiday break got the toll of Best of Us. We just kind of took a break on that on the gram, but we're gonna start keeping you guys updated. I guess, fortunate for us, it's been relatively quiet with things, but yeah, you'll see more action and content being pushed to you guys. Full show for 2022.
Word. All right, everyone. And everyone watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us. We
Appreciate you
appreciate you.
guys.
And see you next week.
Like, comment, share. You know the drill. We got to get out there. We can only get out there through you.
Word. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.